Captain Midnight.
So at CinemaCon 2026 in Vegas, the big annual event where studios roll out their slate for theater owners, Sony Pictures walked out and announced an animated R-rated Bloodborne movie. This alone is pretty big news. It seems like FromSoft games are becoming hot properties for movies, with Alex Garland's live-action Elden Ring on the way, and now this. But there was a detail in the announcement that caught everyone off guard. Jacksepticeye will be a producer on the project. I'm sure most of you know who this is, so I won't linger on it, but if you don't, he's a YouTuber with 31 million subscribers that blew up with Let's Plays in the mid-2010s. He released a video talking about how excited he is about the announcement and made clear that he's not writing or directing the project, but that he will do everything in his power to make sure the movie is as great as possible. How much he's involved exactly and what that producer role looks like, we still don't really know at the moment. Whatever it ends up being, it got me thinking about YouTubers and the increased presence they've had in film recently, and also the more cynical studio-driven aspect of all this. That's no slight on Jacksepticeye. I think he's very earnest when he talks about Bloodborne, but I also think Sony's reasons for doing this are interesting and worth examining. So that's what I want to talk about this week. And I'm mostly going to be focusing on the film space, so no, I will not have any long asides about Beast games or whatever. Maybe I'll talk about that down the line. And since I'm talking about YouTubers today, how about I do the most YouTube thing possible and say that if you enjoy this video, I'd appreciate a like so even more people can find it. I'm going to return to Bloodborne, but I think it's worth taking a step back and examining how we got here. The first online video creator I ever loved back in middle school was the Angry Video Game Nerd. Happy 20th birthday to them, by the way. I really enjoyed that podcast from James and Mike recently. And, AVGN had a movie back in 2014. For a long time, that seemed to be the kind of film you could expect from YouTubers. More ambitious than your average video, but very much a niche, for fans only proposition. And unless you count Battlestar Galactica and God of War composer Bear McCreary, which was a legitimately impressive get for the movie, it was a very separate thing from the Hollywood ecosystem. Now, I am going to oversimplify a bit of history here. There were things like Nickelodeon buying into Fred, and Smosh the movie landing some semi-recognizable actors. Oh, and Shane Dawson was on an absolutely aggravating series that was kind of a spin-off of Project Greenlight, The Chair. But I think it's safe to say that, for the most part, Hollywood kept YouTube and its creators at a remove. And the projects that did come out, like that Logan Paul airplane mode thing, tended to be much closer to straight-to-DVD quickies than anything they put real money behind. The through line in all of these is that they were either studio projects that kind of reduced the creator to a brand mascot, or they were vanity projects that weren't taken seriously enough to break out of the platform. Either way, the result was the same. Films that didn't travel outside of the existing fans, and often didn't even fully satisfy them. Which, I'm guessing, left a strong impression in the industry that YouTube talent just didn't translate to the screen or to producing big projects. Lately though, things seem to be shifting. For one thing, the social media presence of movie stars has become much more important. YouTube shows like Hot Ones have become key parts of marketing campaigns, and the online world in general has come to replace linear TV as the most important place to sell your movie. And that shift in marketing is just following where the audiences have actually gone. YouTube now accounts for roughly 11 to 13% of all television watch time in the US. That's more than any other single media company, more than Netflix and Disney+. When you hear that, the whole framing of YouTube versus Hollywood starts to feel pretty outdated. YouTube just isn't some scrappy alternative anymore, and it hasn't been for a while now. And if you're a Hollywood studio, you probably have to account for that. YouTubers have been sneaking into Hollywood for a while. There was Pony Smasher, aka David F. Sandberg, who made horror shorts and effects explainers before going on to do Lights Out and the Shazam movies, among others. And Raka Raka, creators who parlayed their success into getting Talk to Me funded, which was an Australian horror hit, and who are now working on something for A24. We also had Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks, distributed by Neon. Then, of course, came Markiplier's Iron Lung. And Iron Lung feels different. Raka Raka has not posted to their YouTube channel since Talk to Me came out. Pony Smasher posts once in a blue moon, and while Stuckman still posts, he's made no secret of the fact that his ultimate goal is to become a director first and foremost. I bet even they would all say that they view the platform more as a stepping stone to get to their directing dreams, not the final destination. But Markiplier isn't going anywhere. Iron Lung was clearly important to him, but it was also just one part of a massive video, fashion, and gaming enterprise that he's still supporting. This seems entirely distinct from the days when YouTubers were craving Hollywood validation, and when making that jump seemed like a no-brainer off-ramp for their YouTube careers. For him, it's just one aspect of that career. He took a self-financed movie based on a game he popularized, his fans pushed for a wider and wider theatrical release, and he ended up with a box office total that was really impressive for its small budget. And there's a reason so many of these are horror movies. It's a genre where a small budget still has the potential to lead to huge returns and mainstream appeal. Blumhouse's whole model is betting small on tons of these low-budget horror projects and seeing if one can blow up. And the chance of that obviously becomes a lot higher when the director has an online presence the size of Markiplier's. Those bets could become a lot safer. And that's despite the fact that, have you actually seen Iron Lung? This is not a Blumhouse movie aimed at providing the expected low-budget thrills and gore. It builds its minimalism into its premise and expects the viewers to be able to sit through a lot of slow-paced, ambiance-based horror. It really has a level of restraint that I wasn't expecting, but that he trusted his audience to get on board with. Basically, this was not the jump scare movie I assumed it would be, and I think it's better for it. Now, I don't think Hollywood will look at Iron Lung and conclude that audiences are craving minimalist, slower horror movies. I'm sure they'll look at it and see one thing: the size of its director's audience. Which brings us back to Sony and Bloodborne. Rolling out a movie based on a game as beloved as Bloodborne was never going to be easy. I hope they don't mind me painting with a broad brush here, but this is not the happiest fan base out there. They've gone years and years without a sequel or even a 60 frames per second patch or update. They feel ignored by PlayStation and maybe even its developer, FromSoft. So a movie announcement is not necessarily what they expected or wanted most. In the past, a little fan angst online could be expected but tolerated. Now, I think there's a real danger that a cycle of negativity can overtake big or mid-budget movies and shows, and become the entire story online. We've seen that happen again and again, and YouTube seems to incentivize this, with negative videos becoming more sure bets than positive ones. Not that I would know or anything. So it only makes sense that Hollywood would try to adjust to that reality. Bringing aboard a massive, well-liked creator like Jacksepticeye could be a pretty smart way to do that. It's a win-win for both sides. He gets to be attached and have input on a major adaptation of one of his favorite games ever, and Sony gets the goodwill of his audience and some degree of trust from the broader Bloodborne fandom. Attaching a creator who has visibly, publicly loved this game for years lends some credibility directed at exactly that community. It feels like Sony saying, we know you don't fully trust us, so here's someone you do trust. Basically, it's the Tom Hanks scene from the Simpsons movie.
Hello, I'm Tom Hanks. The US government has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine.
Whether Jacksepticeye actually has the power to meaningfully shape creative decisions, or whether he ends up being more of a well-meaning figurehead, is a question I'm curious about. This could mean a lot, or it could just end up being very sophisticated marketing. I don't mean this to sound like some evil, dastardly plot. If the movie's good, it's a win for everyone, and I believe him when he says he'll do everything he can to make sure that's the case. But it does point to a new way that they're interacting with the online world that they've never really embraced before. I'm cautiously optimistic about the film itself. An animated, R-rated Bloodborne does seem like a cool way to go about it. But this producer move, I think, is something that could have a much bigger impact outside of just one movie. Making a film is difficult and very risky. I doubt there's a lot of creators that can gamble on something like Iron Lung. It'll happen, but not everyone wants to be a filmmaker, let alone a self-financed one. But getting attached to an IP project like this in a producer role, if this works out, I could see that happening a lot more. It's a curveball I just didn't see coming, but one that makes a lot of sense. Now, whether this is sustainable or becomes yet another thing for the movie-going public to get cynical and jaded about, I think only time will tell. So, in case you missed it, I have a new series, Showrunners. I love TV, and I really wanted this to function as a love letter to the medium, where I deep dive into the people behind some of television's greatest shows. Movie directors get endless analysis, and I think the creative minds who actually shape our favorite shows deserve that same treatment. The first episode on Twilight Zone creator Rod Serling has been out for a bit now, and I've loved seeing the response. It's been amazing seeing people rediscover how groundbreaking Serling's work really was. And if you haven't watched it yet, it's a big one, at over 20 minutes. Next up, I'm tackling Vince Gilligan, the mastermind behind Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. That episode drops next month, and I can't wait for people to see it. You can watch Showrunners right now on Nebula, where it lives alongside ad-free videos from creators like Lindsay Ellis and Nando V Movies, and other shows like CinemaStick's Let's Rewind. There's now over 200 creators. Plus, you get all my regular videos ad-free there. If you want to see those, plus some exclusive videos and showrunners, you can grab 50% off an annual membership, just $30 for the whole year or $250 a month. Head to go.nebula.tv/captainmidnight. Use the QR code on screen or click the link below to start the Rod Serling episode right now.
Here's a special tip for the fellas and girls who have not already joined Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. You'd better hurry up and join at once because there's a big adventure ahead. The thing to do now is to get started because we're going to have not only barrels of fun, but loads of free gifts and prizes too.